Hello and welcome to the Fervent Four. Did you know that only 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? Hello, I'm Zack Miller, author of Anomaly. With me today, I'm my co-host Tim Ryan, lead man at StartWheel.org. Thank you so much for joining us. The Fervent Four is a weekly show each and every Thursday at 11 a.m. dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business. Today, we are delighted and so happy. Happy. Punny? Was that? No. Happy to have Caitlin with us today. Happily. What's happening?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here today. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Happy happening. You know, let's see how many of these we can put in there. Tim, there's this show that my wife watches with Andy Cohen, who's very underrated as a businessman, by the way. Caitlin, this is not how I was going to start this, but there's this drinking game where if they say someone's name, it's called, it's like an after show of his shows. He does all the Bravo shows, like Real Housewives and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so they have guests on it, afterwards, Jimmy Fallon would. And if they say a specific word, you're supposed to drink at it. So every time we say happy, people can drink. They can drink their coffee. They can drink their water. They can drink their Gatorade. They can drink whatever they want. So every time we say something that has hap in it.
Yeah. I love it. I think that'll stick.
You had mentioned before we jumped on air that we have the funnest job. And part of that fun job that Zack and I do after the show to keep ourselves happy is we also have a drinking game as well, when people tend to forget to add attachments to emails that we will also take a make-believe drink as well. But it's the little things.
Those are make-believe drinks?
Oh, well,
anyway,
for the purpose of the show.
But
those are the things. Those are things we do to stay happy, and the show is all about being happy. So thanks for joining us.
So these are always interesting shows because sometimes Tim knows the guest, sometimes I know the guest, and sometimes neither of us know the guest. This is one of those shows where we don't know anything about you really. So this is going to be an exciting hour. This is going to be a lot of fun. Are you from the 757? What's the quick Caitlin story?
Grew up in New York, went to UVA undergrad, played lacrosse there, moved to DC because you moved to a major city for a job. And then my husband and I moved to Jackson Hole, Wyoming a few years ago. And about 6 months ago, we came to Virginia, and it's been amazing. We got into the 757 Accelerate program, and it's been a gift in all ways. So we're so happy to be here.
What part of New York?
Long Island.
Okay.
What was it? DC, Northern Virginia, Baltimore? What was it?
DC. Yeah.
Wow. See, most people, so I grew up in Northern Virginia. I say DC. People usually lie about it. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm from DC because it's easy from, I guess, a geographical standpoint.
Right.
Because not a ton of people actually live in DC proper. So that's interesting. Is he in the military? Is that why you guys were moving a lot or no?
No, we just, I worked in executive search in the software space my whole career before starting Happily. And so we were lucky to be able to live wherever. And we reached a point when our daughter was born that we wanted a little bit more balance in life and access to the outdoors. So we moved to Jackson, and it's been amazing. We still spend the winter there. We've got great friends there, but we kind of have best of both worlds, getting to be in Virginia, closer to family, closer to the businesses we serve. And the ecosystem here of business support has been just mind-blowingly fantastic.
So that journey with that previous life, is that what has started your idea for the business? So what's the background of that? How did you decide that, hey, I want to do Happily?
Yeah. I mean, I was really tired, and that's the crux of all things, right? When you're dealing with a problem that you're experiencing and figuring out how do you solve it for yourself, and then realize maybe there's an opportunity to solve that for others. I was working in executive search. I was traveling a lot. I was a partner in a $1 billion consulting firm, and they had a lot of benefits. And what I found when I was struggling with kind of balancing my family life and work and trying to be awesome in all things was that the benefits that we had weren't actually solving my everyday pain. And my everyday pain was how can I take the time outside of work and make sure that's awesome, and that I'm doing things that align with our values in terms of outdoor active lifestyle, and do that without spending hours doing research. And so we started talking with HR leaders that were already our customers in my old world and saying, hey, are your benefits working? Like, what do people like? What do they not like? And we actually ended up co-developing a solution that's all about how you support working parents. And that is how the Happily dream came true.
Fascinating.
Very exciting. Very, 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 very. I don't know. I was trying to be funny again. This is
very happy.
Yeah. So corporate world versus startup world. Like, are there any glaring differences, glaring things that you immediately have seen? Like, because a lot of people talk about, oh, I don't want to work in the rat race of being in that place. Like, what are your thoughts on kind of the big differences between corporate versus startup world?
I believe that every season of life offers something of value. And for me, like, working in a corporate environment was a gift. I learned so much. I met incredible people, and this being in a startup and starting this company would never be possible without that background. So I loved that season, and I'm loving this season as well.
So were you able to, so one of the things that I think that a lot of people fall short with is interviewing the customer, potential customers. So is it with part of your previous job? Is that something that you were able to do, was, talk to people that were looking for jobs and kind of take an inventory of, hey, what is it that's going to, are you not happy? What's going to make you happy? And did that help you formulate what your business is today?
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for anybody that had to sit next to me at a dinner party over the last 3 years, because this is all I talk about. And I'm obsessed with what people's challenges are and then how we could build something that really supported them. So I was lucky to do that just in everyday life. I certainly tapped into my network of HR leaders and of executives and really got to know the problem beyond my own pain. And they're all to thank for us being able to build something that is applicable across a broad spectrum of people. So it's been a really fun journey.
Wow.
And we're still learning. Like,
and how long are you into the journey?
So I left my day job about 1.5 years ago.
Wow.
And you had said, so you did this with them in some sort of way? Did you?
No. So I didn't do this with my old company.
Okay.
When I say that co-develop, I talked like the HR leaders that were the people that we now are our customers. They gave us the feedback to help us build this. So I didn't just go into a vacuum and say, hey, I'm going to build this thing that I think will work to support working parents. We did a ton of customer interviews. A couple of the CHROs agreed to do pilots with us so that we could get real-time feedback. And I'll give you an example. We actually work with Korn Ferry today, who is my old employer. I've got great friends there, and they're huge supporters of what we're doing. But they said to us, we'll try this out, but I want you to add a volunteer concierge to the platform. We want to help, in addition to people finding activities and things to do with their families, we want you to make it easier for them to volunteer and have service opportunities. And so we built that out because of their feedback.
Okay, so this is interesting. Customer interviews. How many do you think you did?
I don't know.
Hundreds, thousands, hundreds. Okay.
Hundreds, yeah.
100. Okay, so
Hundreds.
A lot of people will ask questions that they want the answers to. So I'm gonna like say a lot of things, and you can just go with it however you want, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people ask questions that they want to build a solution for, so then they get that answer for. A lot of people will not know what questions to get and just be all over the place. And some people will get information and put too much substance into that and then build off of that. How did you really kind of analyze what you were asking from a question standpoint, and then really recognizing what people were saying to then take it to that next step and build that thing? Because a lot of people could build a solution when there is no problem or a customer there. So how did you kind of put all that stuff together to make sure that you were building things that were at least seeming like they were going to make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, like, it's been a humbling journey, right? Like, you have in your mind exactly what something should be. And then you have, if you're going to ask people for feedback, I think part of that is being willing to take that feedback. And so for us, like, I just asked a lot of open-ended questions. I didn't give people a ton of insight into what I thought we were going to build before I asked these questions. And so some of that was validating, and some of that made us decide, okay, maybe we need to spend a little more time on this other thing that we didn't think was important.
Yeah, it seems like all of the guests that we don't know that we have turn out to be the best shows. So
She's so happy to hear that.
I just got like a remote hug. Thank you.
Because I mean, there's just so much. I mean, it's because when we know the person, it's just we already know a lot of the answers before we even ask the question. So, like some of the, I mean, we're hitting some really, really great things, and it's not necessarily that we're trying to. Did you pass this test? Yes or no? Did you ask the right questions? Yes or no? But it's just one of those things where it's like you sharing your experience so that other people can learn from this, you know? So it's like, how many interviews did you conduct? You
Well,
know,
things
so
are buzzworthy too on that, right? I mean, this is a very a customer interviews. Okay, that's great. Like it goes deeper into that too. I think
right.
what you're right. Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people will ask me, hey, can I get a list of the questions before we start the show? And it's like a lot of times I have some stuff written down that I want to ask, but this being just a friendly conversation, you know, it's like everything goes in totally different directions than I would think it's going to go. And 9 times out of 10, I don't get to any question that I have written down anyway.
Yeah, because definitely starting the show with an Andy Cohen show is how I anticipated doing this show today. Let me just tell you, that was question number 1. Caitlin, I mean, do you watch What Happens Live? Do you watch that show? Do you watch The Real Housewives? Thank you for that.
I have to admit, I am not a TV person.
I don't blame you.
My daughter is 6, and generally, if we're going to watch a TV show, it's like still we're watching Disney. And
do you subscribe to Disney Plus?
Yes, it's awesome.
Isn't it amazing? I've watched The Mighty Ducks again for the first time in years.
Oh, one of the best movies of all time. Yep. It's a good movie for you to bring up, because I think it's funny how these movies like The Mighty Ducks and Miracle like really like subscribe to the way you can think about your business culture. Mm-hmm. And for me, like we're so about team and having all the right people in the right seats, and like how it's not about an individual, it's about all the collective of what we're able to build. Is all because of those pieces. So anyway, I love those movies.
But I'm curious. I want to circle back to when you said a year and a half ago you left your day job. What things did you put into place before you decided, all right, I'm ready to resign and we're going to give this thing a go? I'm sure that you and your husband had a conversation. I was 10 years ago, I was in a very similar spot, and you have to make sure that certain things are in place before you do that. Yeah. And I always kind of cringe a little bit when someone will come to me and say, hey, Tim, I need some help with my business. Can you, I just left my job, and then they have no plan. And it's just like, well, hopefully you got a box, because you might be living in a box if it doesn't work out. But talk to us about what you did in preparation to leave your day job and really go after Happily.
Yeah. I mean, I think that for me, there was no choice anymore. Like my heart was so deep in doing this. And it's interesting because I loved my work before, and I loved the people I worked with, and I felt like that was an exceptional season. But like this, you have this feeling where you're like, this is what I was made to do. And so with that, my poor husband had to hear that every day. I mean, I joke, but I married a really awesome person who's really supportive and understands who I am. And part of who I am is like, when I'm passionate about something, there's no stopping me. And so certainly we wanted to set some milestones around that. We had enough feedback that we had put some money into the product before I left. And then the timing felt right. And the timing could have felt so wrong because it was like at the beginning of the pandemic, but it allowed us to go all in on the business. It allowed us to have some flexibility for our daughter, with schools being closed and all that crazy stuff. And I don't know, I feel like it was a no-brainer by that point, because we knew that this was like, I built this business with my co-founders, but my husband's blood, sweat, and tears are in it also, an investment. So I think he also felt this push for us to get this into the world.
Is there an elevator in that building that you're in right now? An elevator?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you had to get in an elevator in that building to get to whatever floor you're on. It looks like I think you said you had to walk downstairs. So let's say you take one floor, whatever, or 3 floors, whatever. What's the general kind of 30-second elevator pitch for Happily? Like if you meet someone for the first time, or if you're at like a 1 Million Cups or a Start Peninsula, something like that, what's the pitch as to what Happily is?
Yeah, we created a wellness benefit that helps companies retain more employees, or retain their employees, make them more productive, happier, and healthier.
And I think that you should be pretty well versed, because did you present at 1 Million Cups yesterday?
I did. Yeah, it was so fun. People were so
And-
nice, and yeah.
And I
awesome
think I'll
group.
see you tonight, pitching tonight, right? At the
I'll be
Granby
there.
Theater?
Yes.
Where?
So Granby Theater?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we get to pitch with the 9 other companies in the cohort. It'll be really fun.
And that's another aspect of it. Companies that I have found, and Zach and I have talked about this as well, companies that tend to do really well always take advantage of all the opportunities that are given to them. So here in 1 week, you did 1 Million Cups, you're doing the Fervent Four Show, and then you're pitching tonight. And then other people, they're just like, I don't want to do it. And just let opportunity pass them by. And it's like, by just raising your hand, it separates you so much from so many other people.
The people yesterday were so lovely. I mean, I got so many emails of like, how can I help you? So many suggestions. And I mean, it's hard. I'm an introvert, actually. I recharge by myself. I love people, but I like a small group. And so it takes a lot of energy to put our story out into the world. But I think if you don't put it out there, you're not gonna be able to share it with people and make a difference in their lives. But I'm always impressed with how many people raise their hand to help when you also put yourself out there.
Yeah. So you mentioned support a couple of times. Dan Gerard from the city of Hampton has a question about what support is getting. What support are you getting that you are so excited about, and that was so good that you ultimately moved here? And then maybe just elaborate a little bit more on some of the other stuff from the support yesterday, and just in general, how has that support been helpful in making decisions, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, for when you're a founder and you have a team and you're growing fast, I think that it's really easy to just sprint, right? And you put your head down and you go, and you're like, okay, we're doing this. But being in a program like 757, and I was in another one in Wyoming through Silicon Couloir that added a lot of value too. But being in these programs makes you slow down and look at the pieces of your business and to think about growing in a thoughtful way. And so I've loved that. We've had access to incredible mentors who are coming in with great business experience and listening to your story and giving feedback. And sometimes you take it and sometimes you don't, but there's always something good to be taken from those interactions. And certainly the grant that they give you to be part of the program is meaningful for a business. Every little bit helps us move forward. And we've also been introduced to some new investors. CIT is one of our investors through the state of Virginia, and we love working with them. So I don't know, I get it, coming here and being closer and even getting in-person opportunities in the community has been a game changer for our business.
You talked about the give and take of feedback. How do you analyze that, kind of in the same vein of the customer feedback from before, where those people are probably customers? A lot of the feedback that you're probably getting from the stuff that you've just recently been talking about is probably not from customers, I would assume. So what's the give and take? How do you realize what information you want to work with and which one you don't?
Yeah, the customer feedback is about our product, right? And how we're impacting their employee population. So that's a really specific subset of feedback. We also do a lot of feedback surveys with our users today because we want to make sure we deliver an exceptional experience. And then on the program side, it's really about your business and how you prepare to raise money and how you grow and scale your business. And so different subsets. For me, I'm a feeler. I get this gut reaction to things and people and experiences. But what I'm learning is to match that feeling with more data. And I think that'll be really critical to how we scale.
So is this a SaaS play in terms of what your product is?
It is, yep. So it's a subscription play. It's $100 per year per employee enrolled with a minimum of 250 seats. We're generally talking to companies that have over 1,000 employees because they've made a public commitment to wellness, and they have budgets for it.
Interesting. And what if have you thought about, or do you offer something from a bottoms up SaaS play, in the sense of you have a few individuals from a company that man, we love this product, and then that continues to grow amongst the employee base, and then they go to their leadership saying, this is something that you have to add as a
Tim,
benefit
I
to the
think
company?
I think you've been talking to my new head of sales. It's definitely on the roadmap. Yes, that's a great
Awesome.
idea.
I love simple answers. Yes. How do you define wellness?
Yeah, I mean, so for us, we look at Happily as being at the intersection of mental and physical health. And I'll give you some context around that. I'm a big believer that if people get outside and they're active, they're going to obviously have impacts on their body, but they also have huge impacts on their mind. And for parents, if you get outside and you do something with your kid and you feel like a great parent, that has an incredible impact on the way you feel when you go back to work. Our activities are all around getting people outside together. So as a parent, like going to the playground and sitting on the bench is not doing anything for your physical or mental health. But if we can be like, hey, here's a perfect day curated by Happily that helps you get outside, where you go on a hike or you go on an awesome bike ride, or these things that really like have the endorphins flying, we believe that our product has the ability to really positively impact both of those categories.
What's your personal favorite outdoor activity to get you in the right mindset?
This should be good.
All of them. I love being outside. Okay, so I'll give you my like summer example. So we live on the north end, and my cousins live like 30 blocks further. I love going to the beach, but like I have got to move my body before I go to the beach. So I love a long walk. So what we'll do is before we go and sit on the beach, we'll actually walk the 2 miles to the beach each way. And so I like to walk. And whether that's on the beach or that's on a hiking trail or, on the boardwalk or wooden board in the mountains doing like more uphill hiking. But just,
two miles to the beach, 2 miles back from the beach.
And that is one thing that's really awesome about Virginia. I mean, just like the number of state parks and
amazing
places that you can go. I mean, it really is pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. We have Nashville is a big city for us in terms of Happily content. So we're in about 35 cities today, and we launch new cities almost every week right now. But Nashville is like the hot spot for waterfalls. So I'm on a mission to go to Nashville so I can like
have you
go on these waterfall hikes.
Have you gone to Crabtree Falls in Virginia yet?
Oh yes, it's so great.
It's great.
Yeah, I went to UVA, so Charlottesville has a special place in my heart. And my parents, who have 21 grandchildren from their 8 children, we do like family camp in Charlottesville every year.
Cool.
And so Crabtree Falls is a favorite.
Do you like sports as well?
Yeah, I played lacrosse at UVA, so I love that. Yeah. I like sports, but I'm not like a watcher of sports. I can't sit still. I like to engage in them myself.
So you didn't care when UVA won the championship in basketball a few years ago?
Yeah, I think it's cool. Totally. Yeah.
Were you just saying that now, or like were you like?
No, like I actually watched the finals at a bar with my husband. Like it was fun. I'm not like a full season watcher.
Were you depressed the year before when they were the first 16 seed to lose to or first 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed?
Did not impact my mental health. No.
That's probably that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Over the last, I don't know, 18, 20 months or so, it seems like the narrative of companies hiring has gone just ridiculously out the roof, whatever the saying is. And it seems like every company in the world is struggling finding people, no matter the industry. There's more jobs than ever. It's unclear to me why some staffing issues are happening. And I know that's a very broad and general statement, but when you hear something like that, like companies are struggling to hire, your restaurants can't bring staff back in, I guess all the delivery companies are now fighting over employees. Is there anything that you just have generally seen as to why you think we're seeing this, or is it just the media taking a headline and going with it, kind of spinning the wrong way?
I mean, I think that the pandemic was an awakening for people about what's important. And I think people started to value their time more. And this transitions with Happily, like when we talk to companies, they understand that the best thing they can do is take care of the people they have. And that's why they're interested in benefits like ours, right? It's like, how do you enable people's lives outside of work so they can be happier and then be more productive when they're at work and feel like their employer cares about them? And it's the same thing with hiring. Like you have to have benefits that are competitive because people are not interested in being somewhere where people don't care about them. And benefits are just one more indicator that you care.
Yeah, it really does seem like the market, I mean, timing has so much to do with everything. And the market is really coming to you in the sense of, especially with the younger workforce. I mean, happiness, mental health, all of that.
Yeah.
People are willing, as if they have that, it's not necessarily about paying them. I mean, sure, people want to get paid, but maximizing pay or maximizing other benefits is not as important.
Right.
People really want to work, have a purpose, be happy doing what they're doing, be proud of what they're doing. And, so from that standpoint, I think that timing wise and the market is really coming to you. So, have you found the same thing?
I mean, I think if you can find a silver lining from a really hard and terrible last 2 years for our country and for the world, like that's where I find it in Happily, is that like people are at least listening and understanding like that's important to take care of people. They're listening and understanding that mental health is a big deal. And that there's an opportunity for companies, instead of just pretending it doesn't happen and separating work and life, saying, okay, how do I take care of the whole person? Or at least how do I offer solutions that could help them take care of themselves?
Because that's interesting, because I think a lot of corporations, even maybe a lot of smaller businesses, wouldn't invest in the wellness of their staffs. I pay you this, I get this back. I'll give you some time off. I'll be a good employee. But I think what you're saying is it's a lot more than that now. And there are companies who had been evolving over the years to fix that. Zappos is one that really comes to mind.
Yeah.
From many years ago, but really instilling that now, that it's not just about collecting this paycheck every 2 weeks. It's not just about living for the weekend and stuff like that. Like there is more to that. How have you started, continued, or are thinking about kind of explaining that and kind of turning that switch on people who might not have lived that kind of business life before, now realizing like, what the heck am I going to do? Like, I'm still a good company. I guess I just can't hire people. So like, how are you getting people to realize that this is something they need to think about, invest in, et cetera?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And I will talk to anybody that will listen around why I think this is important. But what we had to do in our sales strategy is actually stop working with people that I had to convince, because there was so much business. Like there were 80% of the companies know that this is a problem and know this is something they need to address and know that this is something they should care about. And the 20% that don't are going to slowly lose their employees over time. And I hope that we will have an opportunity to help them someday. But if you think about highest and best use, and just as a startup, like that wasn't my highest and best use. So we actually have a criteria for any company we talk about. If they do not publicly share that they have an interest in wellness and they haven't shown that they've invested in wellness solutions in the past, we don't even go through a sales cycle with them.
It's the bell curve effect, right? Where like, I think so many people will try because they think, oh, this customer in quadrant 4, it should be my customer, yet they don't have, they have no interest in working with you. So you try to convince them, and then really just focusing on kind of the early adopters, the champions, and maybe those that are leeching onto that. Leeching's the wrong word, but pulling from that, like that's a great strategy. And I think more people need to really recognize that if you're trying to convince this person and you're just a startup, an early stage business, like you might never pull that person the way that you want to. And you could waste a lot of time, resources, money, everything. And
I did, like, I'll tell you, like I wasted my time on companies who didn't understand, or maybe it wasn't a waste of time, but I learned through that time. And we just like put a hard stop on it and said, no more. Like it's not, we don't have the luxury of wasting time, and we don't want to, right? Like we're offering something that like big companies are already buying. Let's find more of those people that get it.
I just can't help but smile. I mean, that's just, because it's just so important. I mean, I so many companies that I have worked with, I mean, they're just chasing the dollar, and because they just need that revenue to survive. And so often it's not the right customer. And it's like, you're going to spend 80% of your time trying to please this customer when they weren't the right customer anyway. Yeah. And so,
well, do you have, is that Okay, so you said that they are openly talking about wellness. That's how. That's your criteria now. Is that
Right.
easy for people to see? Like, is like their Twitter?
It's
says
all
that?
over. I
Yeah.
mean, it's all over. They're covered in best places to work articles. They talk about it. It's on their website. It's on their benefits page.
Core values.
Core values, yeah. And for us, like, I mean, we're selling through companies because that is a business channel that makes sense, and it is a group we know, and we know it's a way to get in touch and get in people's lives. At the end of the day, like, our dream is to like have a remarkable impact on this cohort of children, that because their parents took them outside and got them into the outdoors and taught them an active lifestyle, that we're going to see like a decrease in depression in 10 years. So like for us, like our dream is so much bigger than like selling corporate subscriptions. Like it's about changing people's lives.
Is that because they're so attached to their phones and all that other stuff? I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
totally. I mean, and I just think if you can, I mean, I'm the mom of like a magical little girl who just turned 6 years old, right? And all I want is for her to have every skill to be able to be happy herself in whatever that is in the world. And I think that having these tools in your toolkit around having an active lifestyle, whether that's a hike or a walk or a bike ride or whatever it is, and not relying on your phone or validation from other people or whatever, sets her up for success in the world. So I've gone way too deep now, but that's
but even from adults, there's like is it pheromones? I don't know what the word is. There's something, dopamine, something like that. Yeah. So like when you work out, that release is there. My guess, not a scientist, not a doctor. I just play a host on TV Thursdays at 11 o'clock right here on the greatest show ever, according to a fun show, according to you, Caitlin. Thank you.
Super fun show.
So there's, what do you call it, Tim? Dopamine. So like you release dope. Is that what you call it? You work out, dopamine goes out, stuff like that. My guess is if you hand a kid, I don't have kids, if you hand a kid a phone to watch something, they're not releasing what it is to get out there. When they go on a walk, they throw the baseball, you know, they get a lacrosse stick and they throw the ball against the garage. I'm sure that is a lot more helpful to them getting and releasing that out. So
and releasing the endorphins in terms of when you're being physically fit, and like the social media aspect that Caitlin was getting to. I mean, like if you're validating your life based on the number of likes, every like, you know, could be a little shot of dopamine that gives you.
And they do say that there is that, which is
for sure
quite troubling.
It's really different. Like I can tell you, like when I go to yoga or I go on a run or I go outside with my daughter, the amount of joy that gives me and the amount of like happiness that I can't get from anything else. Like you don't get that from social media. If you guys haven't read it, there's Cal Newport wrote a book about like digital detox and like kind of how dangerous it is, like the attachment to social media. I will tell you, like I erased Instagram from my phone. Like it's really scary stuff.
Yeah.
How dare you? You took Instagram off your phone. That's terrible. You have some love in the crowd today.
Thank you.
Brian Wells says you did a great job at 1 million cups yesterday.
Thank you, Brian.
3 claps. Brian, come on, man. Give her 4 claps. Like,
hi, Brian.
Erica,
nice to see you.
2-time guest on the show. Hey, Caitlin, 4 exclamation points because she knows what's up.
Erica is amazing. Founder of Instant Teams.
She is great. Trivia question. What was Instant Teams before it was Instant Teams?
Oh my gosh. I'm so embarrassed not to know.
Yes. Tim?
Matt Skills.
Bam. And Tim and I both have hoodies that were given to us via Erica. I'm not wearing mine right now because I'm rocking my Happy Veterans Day shirt. Shout out Positive Vibration. Shout out to Sean Evangelista, 31 Seconds Out, who created this company. Former Navy, I guess you're always a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL, I don't know, who now lives in Idaho, which my guess is you've been to Idaho. Where's Jackson? Jackson, Wyoming?
Yeah, we're right there.
There you go. So we also have, so Erica says that they just launched a Happily pilot with our remote team members on Instant Teams. Raise the roof. Happy families make happy teams.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Erica gets it. She does.
Right.
And her team is amazing.
They are great. 500 plus team members now. It's fantastic. So I'm interested just from the crowd that's watching, where are your favorite what are your favorite things to do outside? in general. There it is. 4 claps. Thank you.
Thanks,
You see,
Brian.
that makes it a lot more important. And he also says that personal, why explain the reason you created this platform really connected with folks. So that's great. I guess that was from 1 million cups yesterday. All right, cool.
Yeah,
Tim?
but it's interesting though, like if I'm stressed out or if I know I got a big day or if I'm mad or angry about something, yeah, when I go out for a run, 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, when I come back from that run, I don't even remember what it was that I was stressed or angry about. I mean, it's just completely gone. And it's just that's my outlet. And then, part of my daily routine every morning is to get out there and I run. And I just, from a mental standpoint, I'm ready to take on the world as soon as I'm done with it. And so much so on the other token, if I get a late start on a run, that pressure just starts to, I have to get out there and release all of that energy.
Yeah. And I think everybody's got to find their thing. And I think when life gets busy and you have kids and sometimes maybe a run doesn't work because they don't want to go with the stroller anymore or whatever, like there's so many different activity types that give you a piece of that. And so like our goal is like, how do you make sure people understand that there's so many options?
So in the last 2 years, at-home gyms have become very, very popular. It sounds like maybe people are going back to the gyms a little bit too, so it's slowed down a little bit. But your things like a Peloton, your Nordic Tracks, things like that, your Zwifts, your Hydros. The what, Tim?
Hydro.
Yeah, Hydros of the world. Do you find that working out in a situation like that, in an environment like that, gets the same love that you're looking for from that release to get out? Or do you think that people actually need to get out of a physical 4-box unit?
No, my husband is diehard about our Peloton and he works out every day. And we also do something as a family outside every day.
Who's his favorite instructor?
I actually don't know. Yeah.
Who's your favorite instructor?
I don't know.
Zach?
I'm still trying to figure out. So I got a Peloton a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I like certain people and then I hate their music. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't want to so every once in a while I'll be like, that was a great 20-minute set.
Yeah.
But I haven't done I think the longest Peloton I've done is 30 minutes. Which, by the way, I very quickly understood why they're very popular. Like it's
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an incredible machine. And yeah, it's Tim has a Hydro, which is a rowing Peloton basically. So yeah, I mean, that whole environment is ridiculous. Do you use the Peloton?
I do like a 20-minute Tabata ride once in a while. I don't have a favorite. I just, I'm much more of I'm a hot yoga person if I'm doing like my own workout thing, or I love to walk outside and sometimes run.
So what advice do you give, or is this part of the platform? Somebody that wants to get started and how do you give that advice, or what advice do you give that person that wants to get started with something? I mean, like, they've always wanted to try hot yoga, but they don't necessarily know what's the first step, or they know they need to go and find that happiness somewhere. What's the first step that you give somebody?
Yeah, I mean, we're not solving for the whole fitness industry, right? Like Peloton and hot yoga, like those are their own wonderful things.
Sure.
Happily is a way to help people get outside with their families and to have it be really approachable. I think that, when I was doing research for when Hannah was little and I was like, why is it so hard? It's not for a lack of content. It's just like, it's disjointed and you'd go to 10 websites to figure out one playground or one hike to go on. And so we just wanted to take what is already available in the technology world and bring it to the family space and say to families, like, let's take away some of the friction around you getting outside by providing recommendations that are personalized to your family, to your needs, to how far you want to travel from your house, to make that one thing off your list so that you could just go and enjoy your people and get off your screen.
And how do you curate the different places to go?
So we have 80 ambassadors across the country who create content. These are moms, these are dads, these are people who are micro influencers in their community, and we're already doing good things in the world. And we've given them a way to monetize their work and to come and be part of our platform. We have a really tight process around what types of things we add to our platform, how they get in there, how they get moderated. Our editor-in-chief and my co-founder does an exceptional job making sure that our users have a consistent experience, whether they're in their hometown or traveling, with really high quality content.
Awesome.
Certainly,
So
as you can imagine, we have some technology around how that works and how it gets personalized and all that good stuff.
So is it safe to say an editor-in-chief, is this really a big media play as well, where like, and I know that might be a weird word, but like media as in like a distribution of material, not like your historical, like, you know, your ABC or NBC type of thing, but like this is a new positive spin on a wellness spin of getting material out to the people that need to hear it so that they have more positive reinforcements than, hey, by the way, this person, if you think about what your standard stuff would be on kind of your historical media, like where do you...
Yeah, I mean, we're really careful to steer clear of being an advice platform.
Okay.
Like we are a place to come for actionable, quick bites of things to do that are like real and in your community and accessible, low to no cost. Because I'd really believe that parents shouldn't have to spend a lot of money to do awesome things with their kids, or people, like there's just so much available in our communities. So when you go to Happily, you can find activities, and those range from hiking and biking to swimming and playgrounds. And there's like 10 categories. And so you can just really quickly find information that's been vetted, that's good. You don't have to worry about junk because we only add things we like to the site or to the app. And so it's really like, our idea is like, if you can get people information in under 60 seconds so that they can get out into the world, then we're succeeding.
Take us back to Caitlin 7 to 10 years ago. Did you have this same love for this type of stuff?
You know, it's funny. I played lacrosse in college, as I mentioned, and that was like my whole life. And then I graduated and got into the workforce, and I became as obsessed with working as I was with playing lacrosse at a high level. And I always loved to run, but like, I think it took me till I was 30 to realize like how much like being outside and hiking and how much that impacted my mood. And I think when you become a parent, you become more aware of who you are, because you want to be a good example to your child. And so, you know, I was never the person that liked to get dirty or go camping or anything. So anybody that knew me in my 20s would laugh that this is what I ended up doing. Like it was a real journey to get here. And I thought like, this is how I found my best place in terms of mental and physical health. So like, how could I share that with my daughter in a meaningful way? And then once I realized it was a problem for other parents, we built Happily because we thought, what if we can share this with more people?
Interesting. Okay. So, D1 athlete there, right? The UVA is a D1 school. Yeah. So a D1 athlete and now kind of a startup founder, not kind of, you are. What are the parallels that you see there? So I remember, and in this case, probably not a great example, so maybe I wouldn't use it, but like I remember seeing athletes before that came through the ecosystem here maybe 10 years ago. And it seemed like the headspace that they were in was just very focused on the task at hand. How do you think being a D1 athlete, being an athlete in general, has kind of really prepared you for doing this business thing?
Yeah, I mean, so Julie Myers and Colleen Shearer and Heather Dow were my coaches at UVA, and that whole ecosystem of UVA athletics is incredible. And you don't know when you're in it, when it's so hard, how many of the lessons you learned through that will draw into your life. But that was the foundation for me, that like, things are hard and that's okay. And if you want to do something well, you have to keep practicing. And if it doesn't go right, you have to try it again. And I think most importantly was the value of team and understanding that having the right people, you were stronger when you had the right people around you. And that's how I approach everything I do in business.
So just real quick, Tim. So that aspect of not knowing a lesson when it's happening live, basically, like, I think about certain things like from high school where like, so I was a really good swimmer in high school. I was supposed to be a captain of the high school. And then I lied to my coach about working out. Basically, I was like, yeah, I went to the gym today and I did. And then he's like, no, you didn't. You weren't here. And now you're not going to be a captain. And I think about that. And I'm like, okay, like that shows like, number one, don't lie. Like,
Yeah.
Number two, like, don't say you're going to support your team in this thing and be in this place. Like, be the captain. Like, you're the leader. Like, have those people there. And to me at the time, I'm like, this is stupid. I can't believe you took me out of this. But like, I look at it 20 years later, I'm like, okay, like that's a good lesson. Like, show up every day or show up when you're supposed to, type of thing. Like, how did you recognize that those lessons, or when did you start recognizing that those lessons were something to build off of and not necessarily like in that moment back then?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I've been surrounded by mentors my whole career who have given me opportunities to like learn and grow, and they've been willing to coach me. And then eventually you start to see themes in your mentors that I'm like, oh, this is a lot of like themes of like what I learned through lacrosse. And so I try to be a really grateful person and reflective. And I think, over the years, you kind of start to count your blessings even more, especially as you meet other people in the world that maybe haven't had the same gifts. You count it as being extra special.
Do you find it a challenge? So you're really, really passionate about the mission, but you're also leading the business. Is it a challenge for you to separate the good feeling of doing the right thing for your customers, but also we have to remind yourself that we have to make business decisions as well? Is that something that you have to stay cognizant of, or is that a challenge for you?
I would say like there's a yin and yang to both. And like, I love running a business. I love being a CEO. Like, I understand that we need to be profitable and that we need to grow to be able to have the impact we want to have. So for me, like, making business decisions is fundamental to having the overall arching, like, good feeling of what we're trying to do in the world. People have invested in us, and I take that really seriously, and I want to do an exceptional job with their investment and their trust.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a common theme with a lot of people that I've talked to. It's like right out of the gate, they're like, "Oh, we're going to start a nonprofit or something." And it's like, well, that's great, but even if you're a nonprofit, you still have to generate revenue of some kind, or else you're not going to be a nonprofit for very long. So
yeah,
I was curious of your insight.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, we want to be a big company. We want to be a big company that employs people and that gives them great opportunities, that makes their lives better. And we want our product to positively impact people. And then the third leg of the stool is we want our investors to be rewarded for believing in us.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate getting this question if it was me, because and I'll preface it like
great lead-in, Zach.
Great lead-in. This is why I hate it, because then I have to, like, on the spot think about this thing. You talked about Cal Newport and his book on digital, getting rid of digital crap out of your life, and I appreciate that. And so the reason I would hate this question is because I would have to then think, okay, who has really helped me in this moment, and how do I want to answer this thing? And then I never remember who I want to say, and then I feel bad, and I'm like, whatever. So, like, you seem to, like, really engage yourself into a lot of education, into business, into life, into gratefulness and things like that. Like, are there a handful of places, people, things that really, like, help you bring that out?
Yeah.
And what are those?
Yeah. I mean,
that would be the thing that I hate, is like, oh, I don't know.
No, I mean, I've got a long list. I'm a voracious listener of podcasts and audiobooks, and I am also a big believer that, like, you have to surround yourself with people that will, because that's who makes you the person you are. So I don't know if there's a book, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like the 5 people you spend the most time with is who you become. So I pay a lot of attention to who I spend time with. And I've made really specific choices about friendships and all those things, because I think it matters. One of our investors is Dean Graciosi, who works in the Dean Robbins ecosystem. And so I listen to his work almost every day. We get his regular attention as a normal human, but we also listen to a lot of the work that he does around positive thinking and around how we, if you love what you do, you sell it. So that's helpful. What else?
What podcast do you listen to?
I mean, NPR, How I Built This, is, I think, probably most entrepreneurs' favorite.
Interesting. I think it's overproduced. Yeah, way too overproduced for me. It's not a general conversation to me. Like I like the rawness of things.
Mm-hmm.
Now then again, I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts anymore. And I listen to How I Built This. I think the Panera one is great. I think the Sarah Blakely one is great. Like I think there's a I think she just sold Spanx too, by the way. It's super. And then her husband, Jesse Itzler, like it's a very interesting. Tim, do you follow any of their stuff? Like it's very, very, it's very interesting how those two came together. Like
it's a fun story.
They're very much yin and yangs in many different ways. But I don't like the overproduction aspect of that. But it is a great show, and Guy Raz does a good job of that. And I think most people probably want to hire a production thing. So I'm a bad customer in that case.
No, I think it's like there's something good to be taken from everything, right? And so not every episode of anything you listen to is going to be perfect, or not the whole thing of any book is going to be perfect. But I'm a big fan of like there's something to be taken.
I'll start listening again just for you.
I mean. Lots of options. I'm also reading Conscious Leadership, which you would probably like.
I feel like that is something that someone else has asked me about. Okay, so I think Panera used to be called A Bon Ton or something like that, or something like that way back when. And so they had the Panera guy on there before Tim. I don't know if I ever told you the story, but they had a bunch of frozen spinach. And they had to, I don't remember if you remember this story, Caitlin, but like they had to get the spinach ready for like souffles or something like that for the next day. And the way that they unfroze the spinach, I think their microwaves were broken or they just had too much of it. They went to like a laundromat or like their dryer and they dried it in the damn dryer. Like, it's like, wow. Oh my God. Like,
do whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Right now, obviously, Panera is a huge juggernaut, a great process for ordering in a plethora of different ways. Like it's wild to see how companies have grown in the space. We want to make sure that we help you do what you want to do, right? Get to where you want to. If someone's listening and they can think they can help, are interested in more information, the kind of like happily plug, what would you answer in that?
Thanks. The biggest gift right now is connections to companies that are looking to make a difference for their working parent population in a meaningful way. We would love to, whether it's Town Bank or the military or Centera, like companies locally, we'd love the chance to share with you what we've built and just get feedback. And then on the job side, we're hiring across every single city, whether that's part-time roles for ambassadors and writers, for parents looking for a flexible job, or full-time roles in sales, marketing, product. Like we're growing like wildfire. Our raise starts in 2 weeks, and so we're ready to hit go.
Hit the ground running. Great. Okay, so you mentioned Town Bank specifically, so I'm going to call them out too. So are they not opening the doors that you want them to? Are you not?
No, they're wonderful. Okay. I'm just shouting out as a place we'd love to work with.
Okay, because I have in the past been in meetings with them where they will say one thing, and I say, when the situation like this happens, you need to open your doors and not just walk the walk, or not just talk the talk, but walk the walk as well. And so I'm glad that they are.
They are amazing. Yep.
And they need to be more amazingly with happily and do more, because I think a lot of companies, and the reason I say this is not just a Town Bank thing, but a lot of companies in any area will say, oh, we support the business community, oh, we support the startup community, and then when a company comes around that is really asking for them to open the doors or take a risk on some of their stuff, and it would be very easy for them to do, they look the other way. And I think if a company, if companies are out there and really want to support, really open that door and provide access where these companies are looking for. And so I realize not every company can do that, but when a situation comes up, I think it's important. And so for a homegrown company like Town Bank, I'm glad that they're getting behind stuff like that. They've gotten behind a lot of the stuff that I've done in the past. So I'm not surprised, and good kudos to them. And for that happening.
That's been our experience a lot here and a lot in the DC market. I mean, people are really generous with sharing time and feedback. And, for us, we have 10 corporate customers now, right? And we're getting these opportunities, we're getting the at-bats, and like, we just want to do an exceptional job and have them be raving fans.
How How much preparation has gone into your pitch for something like tonight?
A lot. Yeah, a lot. And a lot of people have shared their time. I mean, Evans and Katie Shuck, I don't know if you guys know her, but she's amazing. A lot of people have shared time to help us get ready. So we're excited for it.
Yeah, it's always interesting. People, the best pitchers make it look so easy. Mm-hmm.
Well,
they put the most amount of time into it as well.
It is not my zone of genius, but I know it's an important part of sharing our story. So we've worked really hard to get there, and thanks to a lot of people, I feel ready for it. But it'll be a fun night. The companies in the cohort are beyond the fact that they're great ideas and they're running great businesses. Like, it's really good people. So it'll be
in that same respect, I think it is important, whether or not you're an introvert, right? Whether or not you like getting on stage and things like that. Like, you have this vision.
Yeah.
And right now, that vision for it to get out there is for you to get uncomfortable and to do something that has to happen, right? And so a lot of companies, kind of like to Tim's point earlier, where they're like, I don't want to go to 1 million cups. It'll just figure itself out. Like, the reason you're not going to get to where you want to is because you're not doing that uncomfortable thing, right? I don't think that the poster behind you, Tim, that says I'm an entrepreneur says this in there, but I remember Lisa Fournier from Norfolk Fair Trade Company. She had a sign on her wall that said entrepreneurship is uncomfortable. And
yes.
It's absolutely true, right? Where you're in this situation, this is clearly not your sweet spot of getting in front of those people, but it's like, hey, if I want this brand, if I want this business to get to where it is, I'm going to have to get uncomfortable and get uncomfortable a lot. Mm-hmm. And so you just got to deal with it. My advice, to hone in on my good friend Ron Burgundy, right before you go on stage, just say unique New York, unique New York, and everything will go seamlessly.
I am so excited for that. Thank you. And leather-bound books as well.
So after a week like this, 1 Million Cups, Fervent Four Show, pitching tonight, as an introvert, do you just want to, after tonight, will you want to lock yourself in the bedroom for a little while and recharge your battery that way, or will you go outside and take a couple mile walk?
So I'm a mom, so I do not lock myself in my bedroom. That's not how my gym works. But we're going to get outside this weekend. That is our goal. As challenging, I think, as challenging as it is to do some of these things, this is a gift. I realize how lucky I am that I get to have this dream and bring it into the world, and that all these people are supporting us. So while I will be tired, I'm going to enjoy this journey.
What's something that you've No, I'm just I realize we're getting up on time, and I'm I have 14 more questions I want to ask. I'm like, which one do I want to ask here? Okay, so what's something that you have done that's incredible that most people probably haven't done, and then also what's something that's on your bucket list that's from an adventure standpoint that seems pretty wild that you want to get done?
Last summer during the pandemic, we bought a camper. And we traveled across the country in our own little traveling quarantine and got to see a lot of national parks. Cool. And that was a really amazing experience.
What was your favorite park?
Oh, there's so many good ones. I love Zion and Bryce. Yosemite is mind blowing. And we live when we're in Jackson, we're right near Teton National Park, which is spectacular as well.
And something else that's on the bucket list that you haven't done yet?
Oh, the bucket list. Glacier National Park.
Where's that?
It's on the border of,
What'd you say, Tim?
Alaska.
No, Glacier. No, Glacier's on the border of Canada and
Alaska.
No, not Alaska.
Huh.
Tim, you were wrong. How dare you?
I was guessing. I mean, it's just I didn't know that. Yeah.
It's toward California.
Do you have questions for us? I mean, you're feel free to think of a question for us. Tim, what's on your bucket list that you want to do?
Jeez, I don't know, man. I mean, I just running Boston that was it for so long that I haven't really had a chance to really find that next thing yet. So,
what was your Boston time?
Well, my Boston qualifying time was 3:12:12.
Yeah, he's fast.
Boston itself was a great experience. The wheels fell off the train. I mean, it just, but it was awesome.
You did it.
Yeah, it was like a 409 something.
Still great.
Better than my run this past weekend. Tim, your next goal should be to coach someone to a Boston qualifying time.
There you go.
That would be fun. All right, Zach, what's on your bucket list?
Okay, so simple things that I could think of. Attend a WrestleMania, drink $1,000 bottle of wine, finish an Ironman. I've done 3 halves. That'll be good enough for right now.
Awesome. WrestleMania. My mind is
You've
twirling.
not been to one, Zach?
No.
Man, weren't you?
I was going to go to one in New York, and then my buddy Xerxes and I decided not to because it was supposed to rain and it was outside, and there was a whole debacle, and then the pandemic hit, and then like last year, I just need to pull the trigger and do it. Tickets go on sale tomorrow.
Awesome. Make your dreams happen.
There it is. This has been a very happy hour.
Thank you.
We're super excited for this. Definitely, if you guys are interested or want to help support, go to the link right there. Happily, HAPPYLY.com. I can't spell. That's okay.
And I'd love to offer anybody on the call wants to try it out. You can redeem a code on the Happily website. So on the homepage, you click redeem code, create an account, and you can use the code BANKS, bank with an S, all caps, BANKS, that's my maiden name, to get a free code, and then download the app for the best experience.
Awesome.
We're still building out content locally. So if you know somebody awesome that we should bring onto the team to help us do that, we will let them know. And thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you tonight and watching you shine up on stage.
Thank you, friends. Such a joy meeting you.
Unique New York. Unique
New York.
Peace.
Happy day. Thanks.